ReZero, Side Story, Felt Chan's Job, Chapter 1.
So I'd like for you to pick up the dragon-shaped insignia from that woman. The reward will be 10 holy gold coins. Would this be enough for you to take the job? It couldn't be better. I shook hands with the black-clothed woman whom had made the request. For all her feigned absent-mindedness, she's got a tracking gaze that's like a snake, I thought. Still, this is the slums, so there ain't any nice people who'd ask Ta steal stuff around here. I didn't ask for the details of the circumstances, since we had a tacit agreement that I didn't need to know. That's why we only spoke about the target's appearance and location, whereabouts, where to deliver the stolen goods, and parted without any other questions. Ta, be honest, I should be happy about that. After all, it's an important job worth 10 holy gold coins. It's a large bounty that's ton more than Ma's savings from doing odd jobs up until this point. I can't let this chance get away. In this world, if you want to do anything, you need money. You need money to be happy. I refused to spend my last days in this den of losers. I'll definitely get out of here someday. I've had enough with living in such a gloomy place. With this reward and my savings, I won't have to sneak around in the shadows of the capital. I can go out in the open without worries. It won't just be me, definitely someday.
Chapter 2.
This city that I was born and raised in is apparently the biggest one in the kingdom, and is called the capital. Honestly, even if I didn't know about the other cities, I still would have considered this city too big. Still, even though I live in the capital, it's at the bottom rung slums, a stupid place where shadows gather. The world of the capital sure lacks glamour. This is how I would best describe the capital. The aristocrat district is where rich people's homes are lined up, and a place where I could earn some small change by sneaking around. The commoner district beneath is a world's difference, and the shopping district is filled with greedy shops that would do anything to even earn a single copper coin. Lastly, below everyone are people like us from the slums, who desperately try and steal from those above us. Weaklings become food. That's the ironclad rule of this world. This is even more so in the slums, where you can only rely on your own strength to survive. In my case, I used my agile hands to steal from other people's pockets. At first, they were petty jobs like stealing a coin purse from someone I passed by on the streets. At some point, I broadened out and began working by stealing based on people's requests. By the time I realized it, I had become a master thief. I was no longer doing it just to earn money. I was working for the sake of a greater goal. Step by step, I was getting closer to it. I was sure of it. Then this important job happened to land in my lap, and now I'm one step away from my goal, 10 holy gold coins. Of course, the higher the reward, the more difficult it is to steal. But I'm not carefree enough to be scared of something like that. It's a great chance to escape from the slums, and that's good enough. Then, is it really all right to go for that woman full of openings? Hearing that conversation held at the street, I turned my head to look for the woman described. White clothes with golden birds woven on it, and long, dazzling silver hair. Even though her clothes and appearances are uncommon and eye-catching, my attention seems to be elsewhere. She's sorta jumpy. Like she came from the countryside, the woman was looking around restlessly as she carefully walked along the edge of the street. Since I was also rotten and raised in the capital, I could tell at a glance who was unfamiliar with the capital, and was therefore easy prey. My intuition from my many years of experience told me that she was obviously a country bumpkin. She gave off the feeling that she was not cautious of her surroundings, but rather, worried about being swallowed by the crowd. Her defenselessness is enough to make me want to hold my head in anguish. Just as I thought, she gathered a bunch of us to go after Ms. Gray. Keeping my distance while tailing the woman, the faces I saw a moment ago started appearing on the streets. They're the same as me, thieves with their target set on this defenseless woman. It's only natural for ruffians to congregate in a flash towards someone who's that unaccustomed to the capital. It's a painful lesson she's going to have to learn. For you guys, stealing that might mean today's grub money, but if I get it, I'm swaggering away with 10 holy gold coins. I was seriously troubled on how I could properly threaten them so that they would leave. Well, since so many of these guys are terrible at tailing, it would be easy to just stick a knife in one of their backs. But right before I got ready to act, one of the men tailing the woman had a puzzled look on his face as he looked around. He then tilted his head, changed directions, and disappeared down the streets as if he had forgotten about the woman. If that was the only case, it was simply a matter of the man realizing his inexperience and withdrawing, but when others also began leaving as well, that's another story. What? Why did every single one of them disappear? When I realized it, all the people whom I thought were going to pursue the woman had vanished. Only 2 people remained. The carefree woman, completely oblivious to having just been targeted by a group of people, and I, who had maintained a careful distance while following. Confused about what had just happened, I studied the woman from behind. Staring. And suddenly, the woman's figure looked blurry. I shook my head. What was that just now? What a strange feeling. I think it might be magic or something. Old Man Rom told me stories about how this world has mirrors that can talk to people from far away, flying clowns, and even walls that people can walk through. That woman can probably use those kinds of magic, so that's why she could walk around the capital while being so defenseless. Shit, this is bad. In front of me was a woman casually strolling around the capital, but unlike before, looking at her back from afar now sent shivers up my spine. As expected of 10 holy gold coins, it won't let me have it that easily. Alright, if that's how you're gonna be, I won't lose to you. I'll definitely get that insignia. Fired up again, I was about to clench my hands and chase after the woman when I found myself taken aback. That was because, oh, I'm sorry, she was shyly apologizing to some bastard who had bumped into her on the street. It seems like she's embarrassed because she wasn't paying attention in front of her, but that wasn't the case. That other guy did it on purpose. At that moment, that person had quickly stolen the woman's coin purse. What's even happening? Arg, shit. It can't be helped then. Scratching my head in frustration, I reluctantly ran forward. The one I ran after was not the woman who was merrily touring the capital, but rather, the man who took the purse from the woman. Seeing him pull ahead even though we had the same aim hurts my reputation. Plus, if the requested insignia is in that purse, this is the worst possible outcome. Even if I were to look away for a bit, it would be hard to miss someone who stands out as much as her. So I should prioritize the thug who would not be easily found once he enters the slums. His movements aren't bad, but the alleyways are like my backyard to me. His ability to slip into the crowd was amateurish compared to mine, so I had planned on cornering him somewhere unobtrusive by waiting at the end of the alley he escaped towards. Looks like you meddled with someone quite out of your league, but it seemed like there was a scary old Gramps holding an awfully magnificent sword at the throat of the thug. From head to toe, the old Gramps was in a nicely tailored black formal wear. And though he seemed calm relative to the contents of the words he spoke, that calm impression was offset by savageness of the upheld sword. Above all else, his body emitted a distinct aura, something unique to extremely dangerous people. Very occasionally will the capital get these people who give off this sort of vibe, and I hate it. They might be disguised as a patrol guard, or act as a shopping district store's security. This old Gramps is also one of them. Take out what you stole. If you do that, I shall let you go. He had a smile on his face, but his eyes showed no signs of joy as he spoke. The bastard being glared at probably already looked inside, I thought, as the man hurriedly placed the coin purse onto the outstretched hand of the old Gramps, and sprinted away as soon as the sword left his throat. Conversely, I failed to escape, and was left with no choice but to stand there with a stunned "what should I do" look. It looks like you had the same idea, miss. I gulped. The old Gramps standing in front of me gently looked down, but I couldn't see his smile as anything other than malicious. I genuinely thought I was going to be eaten. What a sharp child. It seems I still have much to learn. Now then, here. After saying that, the old Gramps handed the purse over to me. I quickly accepted it, and was surprised by how light it was compared to what I expected. Please return that to its owner. If I were to hand it back, things might get a little complicated. Are you sure? Don't you think I might take this and run away? You did bother to chase all the way to here. Besides, you wouldn't do something like that, would you? The old Gramps' gaze sharpened for just a moment, and it felt like my heart was being grasped. I was left with no choice but to nod. Seeing that, he gave a satisfied nod and headed towards the street, giving me a pat on the head with his coarse palm as he walked by. Ah. Geez, Grandpa Will, where did Naya go? Feli-chan was worried. Naya no? I apologize, some boorish things came up. As soon as I returned to the main street, I noticed the old Gramps was apologizing to someone. However, I didn't turn to look because I was in a hurry to leave this place. Or rather, escape it. Occasionally, things like this would happen, so the capital is a scary place. Locations where there are lots of people mean those kinds of dangerous people are more likely to appear. It's something you have to bear in mind. This should be far enough, I should be fine for now. After I ascertained that I was far enough away, I breathed a deep sigh of relief. After that delay, now it's time to check the contents of the purse. It would be great if the insignia I'm after is in here, but I don't have much expectation. My expectations were low because it was related to how light and thin the purse was, and what's inside is. What is this? Pocket money for a kid? The amount was at the level where if you bought some candy from the shopping district to eat, it would run out relatively soon. To be honest, I had my suspicions about whether or not that woman actually had the gem-embedded insignia like my client claimed. Her appearance fits, but the item is missing. Did she drop it or something? Crap, that's right. Even if the purse is safe, it's more important that I steal the insignia from that woman. If someone else took it, this would have been pointless. I might have been careless, but that woman was even more careless than me. I hurried back to the street where I had stepped away from the woman, and began searching the crowd for the conspicuous woman. This is when I noticed that the street was rowdier than when I had left just a moment ago. It was awfully clamorous, with many people throwing their belongings as they ran off. I looked around in confusion until I saw a silver-haired figure at the center of the commotion. I was a bit relieved to find the woman, who had a reluctant look on her face, and drooped shoulders. As to not be perceived by anyone, I feigned indifference and tossed her purse onto the pile of stuff thrown around her. After having started a commotion in front of the shopkeeper's store to pay for something, she noticed the purse, gave the shopkeeper a look, and went to collect it from where it was dropped.
Chapter 3.
After that, I continued to tail the woman. While I was searching for a chance to steal from her, I very clearly understood something. This woman is a really nice person. I learned of this by eavesdropping a conversation from behind me. Supposedly, the reason for the commotion earlier was because a child cat beast human next to her had tried to dine and dash. Then this woman had nothing to do with it, was what I thought initially. Apparently she tried to shoulder the kid's meal fee, but realized her purse was gone. Undiscouraged, she seemed to have earned the money by putting up some kind of performance. Well, it turned out to be some ruckus that I can't understand. She would then walk with the cat human for a bit, part from the child, and wander about. Even though she used up everything in her purse, she doesn't look to be ending her walk anytime soon. To be honest, I was getting tired of following her, but because I had observed her for so long, I was able to make an educated guess on where the insignia was. While walking, she constantly checks the side of her clothes near the waist. There's something important there. It's not her purse. She's hiding something else. Time to steal it, I decided, and got out of the streets to avoid being in the woman's line of sight. Using the building's walls, I hopped onto the roof and observed her movements. Doesn't look like she noticed. I can jump over there, grab the insignia from her pocket, and escape by running into the alleyways. I was confident about it, but I feel just a tiny bit sorry for stealing the insignia from her. Those who request thievery are scoundrels, but those who get robbed are also evil in some way. Those were my beliefs. However, I didn't know how this woman could be applied to it. There's no point in thinking about something I can't understand. I just gotta do what I normally do. Those were words that even I saw as a means to convince myself with. They were pointless excuses. Having said those excuses, I took a deep breath. From the roof, I jumped straight towards the woman. My forelock fluttered in the wind as I landed. The wind flapped at her hair as I landed. While witnessing her look of surprise, I reached towards her. In my hand was a dragon-shaped insignia, its jewel shining bright red.